Have you guys ever looked at a wall and thought, I need to get through that wall? And the way you do that is you just sit there and you bang your head against that wall over and over and over again until you break through? That's pretty much what it feels like to play System Shock 2. System Shock 2, then and now. Then System Shock 2 came out and it was amazing. It was an FPS with deep gameplay, an RPG in some areas. It had an awesome villain, an awesome story. It was great. But how does it do now? Well, it does alright, but does it work? After a couple Google searches and a couple mod downloads, a couple file downloads, I was able to get this game working just fine. Widescreen resolutions are not necessarily supported for this game. There are a lot of different texture updating mods. If you're as stingy about your graphics as I am, you'll feel just fine here. But is it fun? This is where the game falters. The game, it's not fun. Shooting the enemies is fun. The enemies are fun. The enemies are varied. There's a couple different types. They keep you on your toes. They gain health as the game goes on. You can visit any floor that you just explored anytime. You can definitely see where BioShock got its inspirations from in this game. You can also see the Doom influences in this game, as the game is very horizontal. The enemies' health bars aren't necessarily very big. It's awesome. You get to carry as many weapons as you can fit in your inventory, but at the same time, you do have to level up in that way. There are a couple different ways to level up. The game does really well as an RPG. It dishes out how you level up very well. You definitely feel like you're leveling up at a nice pace, a nice tone. If you play the game like an RPG, you're not going to be disappointed. However, it does falter at explaining some of these RPG elements. I still don't really know how to use the psychic abilities, even after beating the game. However, going the soldier, the hacker ways, it's still fun, either way. Where the game falters, however, is in its exploration. In BioShock, when you would hit a new area of Rapture, you'd be like, oh, you're so excited. You get to explore the whole new city. It's amazing. And in here, you just don't get that. You start a new floor, and you don't know where to go. You don't know what to do. You don't know where to set up. The map is huge for each floor. I mean, if you love exploring, you're not going to stop here, okay? The maps are huge. You can explore to your heart's content. However, they're all like mazes for people who are just looking to get through a nice, solid game with a little bit of exploration involved. It's not necessarily required. You're not going to want this here, okay? If you enjoyed BioShock's exploration, that was the perfect one. But System Shock did not do it well. The maps are like mazes. You get lost. You don't know where to go. And that brings up my second problem with this game is the objective markers. There are no objective markers. You're not sure about what you're doing with these objectives. You don't know how to go about completing these objectives. The engineering bay is it's so bad. The engineering bay is by far the worst section of the game. You have no idea what you're doing. You have no idea what you're supposed to do. The exploration sucks. The whole thing is a maze, and it really just puts you off if you're trying to get into this game. However, the second half of the game does pick up after the reveal, which still put a grin on my face, okay? I mean, if you're gonna go back and play this game, it's probably because you want to see the reveal again, but the reveal, it put a grin on my face. It was great. And right after that, the game does pick up. The exploration gets a little bit easier. You do get more defined objectives, and the game goes completely different ways than it did in the first half of the game, and I honestly enjoyed the second half a lot more than I did the first half. Is DLC required? DLC is not required because there is no DLC for this game. The game is a solid game on its own. It did not require any DLC because it was a solid story. It was a single journey that you took. There were no expansions, no DLC ever released for it. The game is long and it's well just off on its own. It doesn't need any sort of additive to it. It's already too long, but I'll let you guys decide that. So System Shock 2, how is it now? It works all right. You do have to do a little bit to get it to work. It is fun, but it's also not fun. I honestly wouldn't recommend it. And there were no expansion packs ever released, so you don't need to worry about that front. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for new then and nows to come.